put up a three. Bang! Santa Maria!
There's Warner. Here comes a headed jam. Counted for two. Field. Adios! And the Falcons win on a walk-off. And it's saved. What a game. Snap to the left. That is gone. Rafa Perez. That's my play. Off the backboard. Count it. And a win. And a win. Ryan Perez wins the game.
Back and better than ever, Kevin Aro, joined by Coach JC Ramirez. Thanks for joining us at Luke Ferreira Motors in Brownsville, Texas. It's been a while since I've been here on the show, maybe close to a month, but I'm back. Jacob Young is here to my left. He's going to be joining us later in the show. We're going to be talking some soccer and what's going on in the world of sports. But, Coach, congratulations on getting the job as the new athletic coordinator and head football coach at Brownsville Veterans. Coach, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's been phenomenal last 5 days since the announcement was made. It's been a lot of fun so far.
Yep. So, Coach, going back, and let's start with you and your roots, and before we get into the X's and O's of coaching, and now that you're the head man at Brownsville Veterans, but talk about you, where you're from, and what got you into coaching.
Well, I am a Brownsville kid through and through, 100%. Grew up from elementary school through high school, Brownsville product or a BISD product. I survived the 1990s in middle school at Falk Middle School. It was a huge middle school, and then went on, was part of the first few classes at Hannah High School, where they had this medical magnet program. So back in that day, I thought I wanted to be a doctor, and so I went through that program. It was a great experience, and eventually, through my experiences through that magnet program, I realized, I'm not gonna be a doctor. this whole and it was a great experience. We went through clinicals, but I decided, this is not for me. And and I knew I had a love for sports. Eventually, I knew that I wanted most of the people that I admired, that were of great influence in my life, were my teachers. And so I figured, this is what I want to pursue. And then love of sports was there, and so coaching was just the natural fit for me.
And college, where'd you go?
So I went to University of Texas here at Brownsville, and that was really a great experience because I got to really go through the college experience, but at the same time I was getting my feet wet and I was getting familiarized with the major players in the coaching world here locally. I got to do my student teaching locally, and I got to learn from some great coaches. As a matter of fact, Brownsville Pace, Coach Bond was one of my mentors. Coach Padilla was the offensive coordinator. Brownsville Rivera, he then later on moved on to be the head coach at Brownsville Hannah. But those were two people that I was, man, these guys really enjoy what they're doing, and it was just so refreshing for me to see that. And I had chosen a great pathway for myself. Eventually, I graduated, got my first crack at being a true teacher / coach. I actually got hired my very first year at a middle school, but I was at the middle school teaching. I was able to coach at the high school, and that was at Lopez High School. Coach Valentin Montemayor was the athletic coordinator there. He had a lot of success as an offensive coordinator for Brownsville Rivera, and Coach Montemayor was phenomenal. I can't use another word other than that. He gave me my first crack at being in this profession, and I was a kid straight out of college, and he gave me an opportunity to just go and grow, and they put a lot on my plate early on. Everything was a huge honor. So I remember my first season there on staff. I was a young buck, so at the end of practice, I had to pick up all the practice dummies and put everything away. And man, I loved it. I loved it. I loved every second of it. In 2010 actually, that we opened that school. And I do have to mention, we had a lot of success at Lopez before I got to Brownsville Veterans, and I think that's what opened the door for me to get picked up at Brownsville Vets. Even though it was a brand new school, everybody kind of knew that it was going to be a special situation. So. So I couldn't have gotten the Brownsville Vets job, even though it was a brand new school, had I not been part of such great success at Brownsville Lopez. And so lo and behold, I'm at Veterans, and I get to work for Coach Mark Guess, seasoned veteran, came from the Coastal Bend area, And same thing, very very trusting. Let us kind of do our work, got out of
Mhm.
our way, but also was a tremendous leader. And so I got to learn from him, how to manage people, how to deal with people,
Mhm.
but at the same time, how to not limit them and not get in their way. And
Right.
so I really loved his leadership style. And it was sad to see him go, even though it was for his promotion. He moved
Right.
on, and so he was our head coach for 2 years, then got promoted to athletic director here in BISD.
Right.
But then I got the privilege of working for Coach David Cantu, who is now
Right.
at Los Fresnos. David Cantu is the epitome of a professional in this, in what we do. People person, great leader of adults
Mhm.
and of kids, and so extremely prepared, leaves no stone unturned. And man, I got to grow from there,
Mhm.
from
Yep.
him. So in 2016, we were able to secure a district title
Yep.
there at Brownsville Vets. And at the end of that season, Coach Guess was now the head coach at Brownsville Hannah. He had gone later, and the opportunity was there, and he reached out to me, and we made it happen. So I
Mhm.
end up, lo and behold, I end up at Hannah my first day there. I'm starting to look around, and I see nothing but great athletes,
Yeah.
like a phenomenal group of
Yep.
kids, right?
Yep.
And I knew, man, we're in for something special here. And sure enough, my first season as defensive coordinator, we went 7-3 in the regular season, and we qualified for the playoffs. And we meet up with in the first round. Man, these guys were all world, but we knew what we had, and
Mhm.
so we go into that
Yep.
game. It's a classic,
Yep.
a tremendous
Yep.
game. It comes down to I think it's like 46-yard field goal made
Yes.
by their kicker,
Yeah.
who goes on to kick in college.
Yes.
And then with a few seconds left, we actually get an opportunity to tie the ball game. It didn't work out in our favor, but so we lose that ball game by 1 point. But it just set the stage for what was going to be
The encore.
the magical 2018
Yep.
season, right? So
Yep.
all those
Yep.
kids were juniors or sophomores for the most part, and 2018 comes around, and Brownsville's just rolling, right? And
Yep.
it's Brownsville Hannah at this point, but whenever Brownsville team has a special season, it becomes the Brownsville team.
Absolutely.
And so stands were filled week in, week out. Had some huge, um, and so we claim the district championship. We go on to the playoffs, get a district. We go on to the playoffs, get a by district championship, and then we make it to the area round. I'd never been in a setting as loud as the Alamo Dome was in
Mhm.
the third round that year, and
Yep.
then it was a special season for the Valley because it was us in the third round, it was Mission Vets in the third round,
Mhm.
it was Westlaco in
La
the third
Feria
round.
was
In the third round. I mean, it was a banner year, but our Hannah squad was really second to none when it came to the quality of athletes and the tremendous staff that we had there.
Yep.
So, that was 2018. So 2016 district championship, 2018 district championship, 2020 district championship. Now that's a special season because that's the shortened
Yeah,
season,
the COVID year.
the
Yeah.
COVID year. And we didn't know what we had going into that one, but we knew that we had some hard workers, and it was, even though it was a shortened season, we pulled an upset over San Benito at their house the first week of the year
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
the year, and lo and behold, we get a district championship there. And so 16, 18, 20, 21, we didn't have the year we expected at Hannah, but we knew we were building for something.
Right.
And then 2022 comes, or is around the corner. It's the spring of 2022. The opportunity comes for me to come back to Brownsville Vets as the defensive coordinator, and it was a bittersweet decision, and it was a great moment for me. But at the same time, I knew that I was leaving a very special place, which was Brownsville Hannah, to come to a very special
Yeah.
place, which is Brownsville Vets. But Coach Lee, again, he took me in,
Yep.
and I knew that by taking this job, I was gonna expose myself to a different level of scrutiny, I guess you can say,
Mhm.
because now I'm working for this very accomplished college level coach, who's not from our area.
Right.
But I knew that it was the right decision for myself and my career. I needed to grow in different areas.
Yep.
And so this opportunity gave me that. And so I can't say enough about the type of leader that he is, and his expectations of himself, of his staff, of his team. The preparation aspect of how he approaches the
Yep.
game is quite unique as well. And well, we had a phenomenal year.
Yeah. Hey, he's a smart dude.
He-
When he first came on the show his first year here, how he wrote a book and broke down the triple option. I mean, he was speaking another language, but yeah,
yeah, exactly.
to your point, yeah.
It's quite an honor. It's quite a privilege to say that I worked with him. Like, there's the expression of like, well, so and so wrote the book on that, or so and so wrote the book on that. Well,
Yeah.
he literally is the guy that goes around the country giving presentations on the triple option, or what he
Right.
calls it, the ground strike offense. So,
Right.
anyways, it's very unique.
Yeah.
Now, for me, the challenge was, okay, I'm the defensive coordinator, and I get to see this offense day in and day out. And most people, prepare many weeks and months in advance when they have that type of offense on their schedule. Well, I got to prepare
Mhm.
for it every single day and get creative. And so it really made me a better coach, a better defensive coordinator.
Yep.
And at the same time, it made me a better person, a better leader of men, because again, just like my previous mentors, he gave me an opportunity to really grow on my own and lead, that facet of the game the way I saw it fit. And so I grew tremendously. That's the easiest way I can say it.
And now you're the head coach,
Yes,
and
sir.
it's for the people that are out there watching. You spent your whole career here in Brownsville,
Yeah.
so that you're pretty blessed to be able to say that. Not a lot of people get to
Yeah,
say they stay in one city where they're from, and you've made your whole coaching career here in Brownsville.
So some people look at, a person like myself in the coaching world that doesn't move around a lot, or at all in my case,
Right.
because I'm still in this city. They see it maybe as a limiting factor. I see it as a great plus,
Mhm.
because there's so much about this community, about the history of our athletics, about the history of our sport, that is direct to just this area, right? I know of the many teams that have come and gone through the Brownsville area that were loaded with talent. I know a lot of the coaches that have poured all of their career and their everything that they are, everything they're about, into their career here in Brownsville. And so for me, it's a big privilege to say that I am a lifelong Brownsville coach.
Yep.
And what I don't, what I recognize is that even though I haven't moved from Brownsville, there's been a lot of great influence from outside of Brownsville that have come through here and have made this a very special place to be a football coach in. Like the Kelly Lees, like the Marquez. But at the same time, we have some very, very talented people here, like David Cantu, like Tom Chavez, like Tony Villarreal.
Yep.
That hey, they can go, they're pound for pound as good as any coach in the nation,
Yep.
right? And so I'm not naive of that, and I just hope that I can now, as a head football coach, I can kind of follow in that lineage. I have yet to play or lead, my first team onto a Friday Night Light battle,
Yeah. Yep.
but I recognize and I truly believe that I'm very prepared because of all the experiences that I've had prior
Right.
to this.
And Kelly Lee, I tell you what, the guy's a ninja. Cause we're at the East All-Star practice one day, and he could have fooled me. Next day he's gone, and he wound up not coaching in the All-Star game for coaching reasons. He went up to New Mexico and just said, "Well, now you and Duty are like, well, we're taking over now." But I was like, man, I would have never have guessed. I would have never have guessed that this guy was leaving. I was like, well, we were happy for him, but
Yeah.
from when he left, for you as a coach, when did you decide, like, I'm going to apply for this job? Was it automatic, or did it take some time to think about it, or how did you feel once you saw the job was open?
I think it was automatic. I
Mhm.
think it was automatic. Like I said, Brownsville Vets is a very special place to me because I was part of the inaugural staff. I know everything there is to know about Brownsville Vets. I can tell you that all the success that I've had in my previous stop at Hannah, It's tremendous, but it just all leads back to Brownsville Vets. Without Brownsville Vets, I don't get my shot at Brownsville Hannah. And so when I came back, I was very happy to be able to be back. But when the job came open, first and foremost, I was a little bit upset at Coach Lee, because when I got hired over here, I told him, Coach, in the spring after our season, I'm going to learn the triple option better than anybody else on our staff, and I'm going to be second only to you maybe by the time our next football season comes around. So I was really looking forward to learning directly from him.
Yep.
Now I still have that opportunity because he left us a wealth of information, and he's only a phone call away.
Sure.
And we've called him. I call him, pretty regularly, and he has yet to not answer my phone call. So that's still the goal, and I still want to learn that. And but now I have this charge of leading the team.
Right.
Now I don't want to minimize any part of the process or anybody that had something to do with me getting to this point. But I will tell you this: there's been some very, very generous, loving people that have been there for the ride, I guess. Of course, my family, my beautiful wife, my family, some very close friends in this profession. But just, from the time that the job came open to now, I'm so thankful of the outpouring of support from so many people. Many people that I didn't even knew who I was.
Right.
And so they know who they are. And maybe I can't say exactly who they are right now, but they know who they are. And I just want to say thank you for all of your support. And lo and behold, I'm here, man.
Yeah.
I'm here.
No, hey,
And so I'm happy for the opportunity.
Yes, sir.
And again, I truly believe that I'm not just lucky to be here.
Right.
I think that I'm extremely well prepared, and I'm ready to take this team to where it needs to go. I also want to say that by staying in-house,
Right.
the community, our board members, our superintendent, our athletic director, and of course our local leadership that are at our school, led by our principal, they all kind of send the message that they're not only happy with what we have going on right now, but they're willing to invest for the years to come with the persona that is Brownsville Veterans football right now. And so thank you, and we're ready to work.
With what you can share, what's the staff looking like, or is that still a gray area?
No, absolutely. So I don't think there's many secrets in today's world.
Nope, none. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, there's no secrets in today's world. So as of right now, I think my first big win as a head football coach, or in this spot, my first big win was a recruiting win, and that was recruiting or convincing our offensive coordinator, Coach David Duty, to stay on staff. So he's given us the commitment that he's staying on staff, and he's going to be the one that's going to lead our offense from this point forward. Again, Coach Kelly Lee knows that offense, better than anybody, but probably second to him right now in the whole southwest area of the country, it's probably David Duty. He got to learn every single day. It was an in-service for him, and he already had almost 30 years of experience before he came to Brownsville Veterans.
Right.
So we're extremely confident and comfortable with where we're at on the offensive side of the ball. So Coach Duty will be our offensive coordinator and play caller. I shook up the staff just a little bit. Coach JC Ramirez is moving over from linebackers. He'll be our quarterbacks coach. He was a quarterback in the, well, I won't say what decade, but he was a quarterback for Brownsville Hannah at some point, very successful. So he's gonna assume that role. But other than that, everybody else is kind of staying put. The exciting part of my job as as a head football coach now is to hire my replacement.
Right.
And so that is a process that we're going through right now. The application process is still open, but soon enough we'll be able to close it, pull the list of candidates, and I'm excited to see what's in there.
Let's do it. Yeah. Spring ball. Are you still gonna go forward with spring ball, or are you gonna push that, or how do you feel about spring ball? Or
we're all in on spring ball.
Okay. When do you start? Can you share the date?
I cannot yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Because as of right now, I'm still working out the details for our first scrimmage, and
Okay.
so it's gonna kind of be dependent on
Okay.
on that other team. By the way, I can announce just an hour ago I agreed our first scrimmage, our only scrimmage, will be versus Edinburgh Vela here in Brownsville.
Okay.
So you know, I learned this from Marquez.
Mhm.
You want to be a champion, you got to play championship caliber teams,
Yep.
right? And so the opportunity was there to
Mhm.
play a different caliber team, or when Coach Campbell called and said, "Hey man, I just got dropped," and I said, "Dude, I just got dropped too," and he said, "Hey, let's go, let's
Yeah.
do it," you know. And I think I'm sure he might not have announced his team just yet, but and my team doesn't know yet, but
Right.
that's gonna be a great
Okay.
matchup. Now, kind of looking forward, well, we opened the season with San Benito. San Benito is a great program.
Yeah, good
Uh,
game last year.
yeah.
Great game last year.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate. Yeah.
And so their last scrimmage in preseason is versus PSJ North. So,
Okay.
So I don't
Yeah.
want to go into our game versus San Benito having played, you know, a lesser caliber
Sure,
team
I
in a
gotcha.
scrimmage. Hey,
Yeah.
they're getting PSJ North. Well, we're signing up Edinburgh Vela, and let's go.
Yeah.
And let's go.
Yes,
and
sir.
I think, you know, those four programs are arguably one, you know, four of the top 10 programs in the valley right now. And so great buildup. I mean, if I
Yep.
could be at both of those scrimmages leading up to our game,
Yeah.
that'd be phenomenal.
What can we expect from the Chargers next year, and or as of now, going forward in this? I don't want to say new era because
Yeah.
you know we're not exactly reinventing the wheel here.
Yeah.
You know, most of the staff is staying.
Yep.
We're keeping that same system, but as far as the JC Ramirez vision, you know, what are we looking at?
Well, what we will continue is that we're going to bring a very physical brand of football.
Right.
Extremely physical brand of football. I think we have the mental makeup to get that accomplished. We also have, you know, an ideal number of returning starters
Right.
to really continue what we have now. And again, that
Right.
was something that our community really expressed that they wanted to do by hiring me, right? And so we're going to be extremely physical. We have a lot of returning starters coming back. Our whole offensive line is coming back. Arguably the best receiver in the valley, Jerry Gomez, is coming back. We have two excellent candidates to be our starting quarterback right now. Very, very talented.
Because I was gonna say the backfield's gone. 'Cause Chavez, Sampaio, Jay Valdez,
Yeah.
they're graduated.
They are
correct?
graduated, but the cool part of being part of a program like Brownsville Vets is right now is that you always have kids waiting in the wings,
Good.
ready to step in
Yep.
and do well. So we do have, even though those big names graduated, we do have quite a bit of lettermen coming back. So we got Gilbert Trillo, who ran the ball for us last year, who was third-team All-State free safety for us this year. So, you know, we have the ability to grab him and use him in the backfield.
Yep.
Our leading tackler, along with Trillo, both of them broke the previous school record for tackles. Is Jaime Martinez. He's our middle linebacker. He also would take reps at fullback. And then our JV and freshman teams, they both had really, really good seasons last year. And we have athletes there to replace Mikhail and Jay Valdez. Maybe a little different type athlete. The guys that we have now are maybe a little bit bigger. And maybe just a little bit stronger and faster. So I'm very excited to
Yeah.
see what we look
Yeah,
like. I'm
for
not
sure.
dreading, well, what are we going to do? No, it's actually like,
Yeah.
man, who are we going to pick?
Right.
Because it's that type of situation.
Good stuff, Coach. Before we let you go, your girls' basketball team, you know, shout out to them last night.
Yes.
I mean, Vela was by far the #1 team in the Valley all year, and last night they kind of just proved a point to the people that may had other ideas. But anytime you win, I can tell you before we got on the air, anytime you win a 30-win season, you go 18-0, you win the district. Arnold's done a great job over there. And, you know, last year they lose Bituria, Bree, they lose Kit Kat. And then, you know, two of their top scorers, but then you had Mariana come in, cap off her career, 1,000 career points. A 30-win season. You know, their only losses were to Antonian Prep, Edinburgh, Westlaco, and that's it.
Yeah, they lost 4 games.
Yeah,
I
they-
think
they-
last night's game, they had the exact same record as Edinburgh Vela.
They
30
did.
wins, 4 losses,
They
18-0 in district. Extremely impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely impressive. By the information that I have, it's for sure the best season we've had at Brownsville Vets for the girls basketball program. And it all starts with their leader.
Yep.
Coach Arnold Torres is you know, a true professional.
Yep.
And not only does he manage his team well and the talent that he has on his team, but he's a great developer of talent.
Mhm.
You know, the people that work for him on his staff, they love being part of his staff.
Yeah. Yep.
He's not the loudest voice
No,
in
he's
the room.
no.
He is
Yeah.
not by any means the
Yeah.
loudest voice in the room, but he will always be one of the most respected voices in the room.
100%.
And you know what? He earns that by the way he carries himself, not only on the basketball court and leading his team, but he is a outstanding teacher in the classroom, right? And so, you know, if we could have 20 Arnold Torreses on our campus, which we're close to, because we have a great staff.
Mhm.
But if everybody was a professional in every way that he is, and that
Yeah,
would
no,
be,
I've always been a fan of his work. Yeah, and like I said, they had a great year, third round, 30-win season, and anytime you can win 30 games, especially losing the productivity they had year before with Esquivel and Pituria. But you got to get Rayner. You got to excuse him. What is he teaching, biology still? What's he teaching
Yeah, he's
these
a
days?
biology
He's still
teacher.
biology?
Yes.
You got to get him on the show.
We got to bring him
You
on.
got to excuse him one of these
he's
days.
the other guy that he might. People that know who he is, right?
Yeah,
but he does go kind of under the radar. But I think he likes that.
100%.
I think he totally
Yeah,
likes that.
yes,
He totally
yes,
likes that.
yeah,
But
yes,
yeah, that's
yeah.
another guy that consistent winner. I know,
Mm.
and to be honest, and to be fair to the rest of our programs, I mean, we could make that argument for every one of our head coaches right now.
Yep.
Again,
Volleyball's always been great at Veterans.
Yeah,
Soccer is always.
we broke in a new coach this year.
Coach Hoskins.
Coach Hoskins.
Yep.
And she's come in and she's established herself as one of our natural leaders on our
Yep.
athletic staff, right? Right from the get-go.
Yep.
So, like I said earlier, Veterans is truly a special place.
Mhm.
It's a very unique situation to be a part of. It's a lot of work.
Yep.
It's a lot of work. Not only are you dealing with, like every other high school coach, your team, and kids that come in with ideas or grand ideas of being the man or the person that everybody's rooting for. Our community, their parents, their families, they're all in as well, and so. It takes a lot of work. It's a lot of human interaction that has to take place in order to iron out a lot of wrinkles. But all our programs seem to be doing great. And again, it's a tremendous honor for me to not only be the head football coach, but to be the athletic coordinator of such a program. Man, I mean, it's my dream job, and I've said that to a few people. I love that this is my first head coaching job, first athletic coordinator job, but it wasn't just a job. For me, in my eyes, this was the job, and I just thank God that He put me in the situation that He's put me right now, and I can't tell you, the old cliche. Well, now it's time to roll up your sleeves and work. Like, no, you don't get an opportunity to be the head coach or the athletic coordinator at a school like this without working prior. So it's just time to continue to clock in and keep grinding, and now it's just a different role, but I'm still serving.
Yes, sir. Coach JC Ramirez, the new head coach, athletic coordinator at Brownsville Veterans. Coach, first of a few interviews, we'll have you on here. So
anytime.
Get used to it.
Anytime,
we love to have
anytime.
We love to have the Brownsville coaches.
Yeah, you bring in some real smart dudes, and I think
we try to
off camera when we're talking on the side over here. Hey, that's like a coach's clinic for me.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely,
I love it.
Absolutely. And you're just down the road, so
yeah.
Coach, thanks for joining us. We'll let you go, and when we come back, Jacob Young's going to join us, and we're going to talk some soccer and more what exactly we have up our sleeve later this week. So, Coach, thanks for joining us, and we'll be back on the other side of the break.
Thank you.
Come visit our new store in downtown Harlingen. We have furniture, appliances, clothes, collectibles, and more. All funds collected support the Sunny Glen Children's Home. Come see us at Vintage on Jackson at First and Jackson in Harlingen.
Baby, just listen to me.
Escucha.
We do everything with speed.
Prontísimo.
Out of home business or
Flexible.
insurance for all your
Barato.
needs. You say you just got a new boat. Come on by and we'll give you a free quote.
Prontísimo.
Okay, who's singing near you? Hello?
Accesible.
Come on.
Ask your agent how you can start saving with Pronto. Best price in town.
Date night on South Padre Island? No problem. You could hit the town and dance the night away. Or maybe you'd prefer some fun and games, like being a kid again. Party like a grown-up? Or a throwback to the good old days? Tough call. Luckily, either decision will be the right one. Choosing what to do on South Padre Island? That's as hard as it gets. Visit SoPadre.com.
Forever Memories, Antiques and Collectibles, located at 237 North Sam Houston in San Benito, is filled with vintage items, collectibles, and a selection of vinyl records that's as good as it gets. Every shelf, every aisle, and table is filled daily by a number of vendors that ensures that something here just might be the item you have to have. The vinyl record area helps bring an added atmosphere that makes for the fun trip when stepping back in time with the memories. Forever Memories, Antiques and Collectibles in San Benito.
This is Edinburgh North Basketball, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Hi, I'm Rodo Rodriguez, and I'm a partner with New York Life Insurance Company. For 170 years, New York Life has built a reputation for building some of the finest agents in the industry. I help to manage that process from day one. If you're looking to challenge yourself and build an insurance and financial service business, then I would like to show you how I can help.
We're Brownsville Vets, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
All right, we are back. Thank you to Coach JC Ramirez, newly named the head coach, athletic coordinator at Brownsville Veterans. So a shout out to him for coming by and talking some Charger football and just a really good story on how he got the job. And I didn't know all that, how he made his whole coaching career here in Brownsville. Got started at Lopez and spent time. I knew him when he spent time at Hannah, and then now he's back at Brownsville Veterans. But we're joined by our soccer guru, Jacob Young, and we are right in the teeth of soccer season where we're starting to figure out who's really good, who's not very good, who is on the cusp of either winning the district title or trying to put themselves in a playoff position. But first we'll start with the game that we were at on Monday, and we saw Brownsville St. Joe, the boys soccer team. They were able to get a win against Houston Frassati. I have fun saying that. Did you have fun saying
Oh yeah.
like it's Frassati, like it's just fun to say, like Rico or something. I don't know, Frassati. It's got a cool name to it. It sounds like a car, but anyway, ironically enough, you and I were at the game last year when they played Frassati in Beeville, and you remember how that one went down.
Yeah.
So certainly there was a lot of bad blood and a little bit of a revenge factor for Coach Thovat and the Bloodhounds going into Monday afternoon. So what was your take from that game?
It was a very interesting game from both sides of the ball. I mean, you talk about one team that had been doing so well, which of course we had covered Brownsville St. Joseph throughout all this season. And so the biggest thing was, what can they do if they find themselves down by a goal, which we've seen them time and time again be able to come back from that. Only, of course, having one loss on the regular season. So that was a little bit of a thing. Can they get their goals going? Because sometimes when they don't get those goals going, they have a lot of trouble. So it was a lot of, with also a little bit of a breeze in that first half, what would that make a difference? And that's kind of what I saw going into this. I knew it was going to be a challenge. It's a playoff game. You want to survive and advance. That's basically what everybody says. And so it was just a very tactical game. We knew it was going to be that way from the start as announcers. It was, but I mean,
yeah, because Frassati scored first quite early, right, in that first half, and it's like, oh no, here we go again. But I thought St. Joe was able to just kind of settle in, and they leaned on their guy DP, Adrian Del Pozo, and what's the number 3, the kid that
I got you real
he
quick.
wound up scoring that go-ahead goal in the second half. But yeah, for them to fall behind 1-0 early in that game, and they put the clamps down defensively, and I know Kiko is one of the better goaltender keepers. Yeah, talk about what you've seen with Kiko, and as far as him being a goalie and really tightening down and not allowing anything the rest of the way.
And De La Garza, it's crazy how great Francisco De La Garza has been all season long for Brownsville St. Joseph. I've said so much praise to him. Of course, from that start of the season, from all of the preseason friendlies that they did, of course, he was a little bit shaky behind goal, but it was very difficult because that team just was not meshed together yet.
Gotcha.
I think I've talked about it before, but it's so true that you need a team that has so much chemistry. And it didn't seem like they did because they were losing a lot of possession at midfield and doing all these things. And that was very early on in the season. So Francisco got tested very early on. And yes, he made some mistakes, but when it came down to business, when it came down to the regular season, he was able to get a couple of clean sheets. He was able to also, not to mention, get a literal penalty shootout win, as well as scoring the final goal in a penalty shootout to to keep that record clean for that time being.
Right.
So he's been such a massive help for this team, for this side, to even if he does give up a goal, he's able to come right back up and be like, okay, time to make at least 3 saves straight if I have to, and come back. And like one thing that he did when it was TMI, one of their last regular season games, he had to save a penalty and did exactly that, and they came back. TMI got a rebound, trying to hit it in the back of the net again. He was able to get back up and save it again, which is so difficult to do as a keeper. And right off the bat, that's when I saw, oh, this man has a future, not only just in high school, but maybe possibly college. And if he wants to go to the USL or MLS next or whatever, he's got that.
And you're talking about Kiko.
And that's Kiko. That's how much he's impressed me this season.
And he's a senior this year. Diego Garza.
Yeah, Diego Garza.
He's the guy who scored the go-ahead goal there for St. Joe. So you were able to travel with Brownsville St. Joe. You had a couple of adventures just as I did this year. It's a pretty cool deal when you start to learn who these players are outside of wearing a uniform, and you kind of get to see their personalities a little bit. What is it with these guys, or what was your take from them, and just kind of getting to learn them a little more as you went on these trips with them?
Oh man, they were a group and a half for sure. They
That's a good one.
It was a great one. When they'd come off of victories, it was so cool. I talked about it last time I was here. But it's so true, riding on the bus with them, kind of sleeping, but then hearing them, like, just being in the back of the bus, just enjoying their time together.
Yep.
If they had to play, like, a mobile game, which they played Among Us a couple of times on the bus, they would get so excited about it. And just, like, they loved each other. Like, that was such a group. It was a family in there, and that was a special time to see a group like that be so united. That's a perfect word to use for that, because that's what they were. They were united as one. They were ready for whatever through their way, and that was just. I mean, it was perfect, and that showed on the field. That really did, because it's crazy for you're number 9. You want to put the ball perfectly. So like to Del Pozo, he was able to know where Ezekiel Escamilla was able to know where Del Pozo would be, and it was just everybody knew what they wanted on the field as one, which is just when you have that type of chemistry, it is a special group indeed.
So do you feel they're peaking at the right time, or where do you feel they're at?
I would say yes. They were definitely peaking at the right time. Going back to the game this past Monday, it was interesting to see because it was pretty calm and nice weather for that game. Of course, I like a little bit of heat, so that's why.
There was a little bit of heat.
Yeah, it was. And so it was a good game. They seemed to not be able to get as much possession as probably they would have liked,
Mhm.
per se, or a lot more shots on target or anything like that, especially in the first half. So that was a little shaky. And that's something that I'm sure Coach had looked at and said, okay, yeah, we need to focus up and just get better. And a couple of things to just focus back up and say the job's not even remotely close to being done, because they for sure had a chance to lose that game. Versati Catholic had a couple of more opportunities that could have ended in the back of the net. And same thing with them. Yes, they ended up winning a 2-1, but it was just one of those situations where score more goals than the other team, you're going to win. And they definitely, they're used to scoring almost 4 goals per game, which is pretty insane. And so them not necessarily scoring that much, yes, give credit to Versati Catholic, but at that same time, it's like I did see a little bit of blunders in their game that they definitely want to improve on, to not only make it past the second round, but potentially get to that state semis to have a chance to play for state.
They're playing this Saturday. We're still waiting on a time and an opponent, but we'll be there to cover it, so you can catch that on the Bloodhound channel. But did you get to talk with Coach Tovad at all? Because he played professionally. Have you been able to spend some time with him and maybe chat about that? Because I'm pretty sure you would love to hear his stories.
Yeah, I've been able to speak with him some, especially when, like, we were on the bus, we'd stop, grab something to eat or something like that, being able to sit down, have a little bit of a conversation with him. Just some. He would talk about, him wanting to coach a little bit more and things like that, starting up possibly a USL or MLS next team or something like that is what he was talking about. And it is very interesting hearing all the stories and, how much he catches up with just professional soccer in general too, which is very, very it's very cool to hear.
And his daughter, Regina Tovar, she's a point guard for St. Joe on the basketball team. So she's a junior this year. So there's a lot of athleticism within that family. But switching gears to where you were at last night, and that was McCallum Memorial and Mackay. And anytime those two take each other on in soccer, I know it's a big deal. And I understand the girls, it was a clean sweep. The boys and the girls won. So I know the girls' game had a lot of weight on the district and which way that district was going to go. So just how big was that win last night for Mackay?
A massive, massive victory, because, yes, they entered in as the first-place team. They did. They entered in as the first-place team, but knowing that McCallum Memorial were only second place due to head-to-head. At that time, both teams had still had the same amount of losses as Mackay and McCallum Memorial. McAllen High School, or Mackay, had that one loss to McAllen Rowe, to Nikki Rowe. That's the second year in a row that McAllen High School had dropped the opening match and have come back and been able to be undefeated from then on. And so going to play against McAllen Memorial at Boxer Hernandez Field, it's a smaller field, of course, so the dimensions, it's interesting. For soccer, you can make your field just about any dimension that you want, for how wide, how long, as long as it's within, well, for us, it's UIL rules, and for everybody else, it's like, FIFA rules. So it's pretty cool to really see all of that. But, of course, going in there, McAllen Memorial had everything going their way in the first half, had so many shots on target, was testing the keeper time and time again, but could not get it in the back of the net. And it was a heavy, heavy tailwind. It felt like
define that tailwind for those that don't know. I don't know what that
tailwind. It was like blowing from the south.
Okay.
So it wasn't even blowing for players mainly in the valley, like it's windy right now, but you have wind most likely blowing to your backs on one end of the field, and to the other end, it's not. And sometimes it's really, really bad, and other times it's a light breeze. It might affect the soccer ball some, but not too much, which is absolutely just crazy.
So it's a lot like baseball and softball. That wind is blowing, and you're an outfielder trying to catch a fly ball.
100%. And so you would see the ball trying against the wind, trying to carry. It would just be popped up. Yeah, it would be popped up like that, just straight up. and it wouldn't be able to pass midfield, which normally on those kickoffs, those goal kicks or punts, they're able to probably make it close, if not past half or not past midfield. So they weren't able to do that. But McAllen High School, I've talked about it time and time again. You can have all the possession you want, but if you can't score, it's not worth it.
Yeah,
It's not going to happen. So, boom, McAllen High have the possession. The Bulldogs get beautiful passes, takes the shot. It was a little chaotic in there, and again, the wind affecting the shot. The ball was spinning, kind of having backspin, and then all of a sudden, the keeper could not get to it. It was a very slow roller, and it crosses the line in for a goal, and that was the lone goal in the end, scored by none other than Milan Diaz for McAllen High. So just an absolutely crazy, crazy game, and how much it meant for McAllen High to have another clean sweep for about the 8th straight year.
Really?
Just about that. The last time I remember this so well, because my sister Natalie Young, it was playing for McAllen Memorial at the time for Lady Mustang Soccer, and in about 2015, they won their first game playing against Mac High. And then from then on, it was like a 3-1, and they were even down 1 goal. They came back and won. And this is before they ended up playing at Boxer Hernandez Stadium because the turf hadn't been installed yet. And so they came back, and they won 3-1, if I'm not mistaken, which was absolutely crazy. That is the last time that they have won at least 1 game. And the rest of them, so yeah, it's about been a clean sweep for 7-ish, 8-ish years. And just absolutely, the curse has not been lifted. That's what I call it now. Coach Arnie is a fantastic coach. He's got the fantastic coaching staff behind him, too, to help him out, which has really been the key. Coach Kaiser, on the other hand, for McAllen Memorial, yeah, they sit in 2nd place, but this is a blunder to their record that they didn't necessarily want to have.
Right.
But
so we're getting to the point where we're starting to look forward towards the playoffs, and I know you were to call the coach and ask him, well, we're worried about tomorrow. But you know for a fact, somewhere in the back of their head, they're already kind of mapping out who's going to be the 3, who's going to be the 2, who's going to be the 4, who's going to be the 1. Yep. But we can kind of crystal ball things and have fun with those things. Yep. So looking in the neck of the woods down here in the 32 5A, you know, what are we kind of looking at? Maybe a potential blockbuster, because there's always that week 1. There's always that by district where it's like this is equal to a 3rd round game or a 4th round game. So maybe what are you crystal balling in the by district round with maybe getting a team from the 32 and the 31 5A?
Yeah, I would have to say, of course, we always have Brownsville and Porter. Porter, of course, coming off not too long ago with a win against their rivals, Brownsville Vets, which we all know that game could, because they're rivals, get interesting. So, it's I definitely do see probably Brownsville Porter being the 1 seed on the girls' side for potentially even the boys' side. But
you have Porter, you have Lopez, you have Pace.
Exactly. Porter and Lopez could always share it, and then Pace could be that outlying factor of
Where's Brownsville Veterans and all this?
Seed.
Lady
exactly.
Chargers
Should be 3rd, but then you also look at Donna.
Yeah,
Donna's
always good. Donna North, too.
Exactly.
How's Donna North doing this year? I know the girls' soccer team, they've had some successful teams in the past, but just thinking about the standings and things it sounds like things are still kind of shaping up down there in the
it's shaping up everywhere. I could tell you this. I mean, from 31 5A to 32 5A, no one is set. And all set in stone. Completely forgot about this for a second. Harlingen South are now 5A. And guess what? They have a 4-game win streak. They are number 1 right now. So all of a sudden, you're going to have a great team that's going to miss out, just like on the 31 5A side too. Because Pace right now and Donna, I check that back. Ed Couch Elsa, that's the outlier right now, where Harlingen South, Donna North, Porter, Veterans Memorial. So those are your 4. And then Ed Couch Elsa are your outliers where they're 6-4 and have an opportunity to, well, as it stands for Max Preps, have an opportunity to maybe shake things up.
Mhm.
But almost the 4 right now seem like it's done. But Veterans Memorial cannot lose anymore. They have to basically win out to make sure that they can at least secure that 4th seed.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like the volleyball district with the Sharylands, where it was just grind, and you had a team that was going to finish. I think Vela finished 2 games over 500. They didn't make the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
To where it's just week in and week out, you're playing all these tough teams. But in your opinion, who's the number 1 girls team?
Number 1 girls team in the entire Valley for 5A. Number 1 has to be McAllen High School. For almost every single year, they keep making it the furthest in the playoffs.
And they're so young, right? Because I remember
They
at the tournament we covered earlier this year, you're like, these girls are all pups. They're babies. They're so young. So do you feel that maybe they've just grown up since then?
Oh, 100%.
That's a
they've
scary
grown
thing.
Up, yes, and that's what I've noticed from this team. I mean, Coach Arnie and all of them. They're known from Houston schools too.
Yep.
Which is crazy. Back in the day when we didn't have 10 teams in this district, when we had a little bit less and more time to really prepare for like preseason, we'd see McAllen Memorial, the likes of McAllen Memorial, the likes of McAllen High, and a couple of other schools from the Valley, even like Harlingen's, travel up to, and Los Fresnos, that we travel up to San Antonio, the Houston area, and compete in those crazy tough tournaments that have literally state-ranked, like top 10 state-ranked teams on the girls' side, which of course we'd be talking about those schools for boys coming down here to play in like the Brownsville tournament. So it's like that up there, 100%. The Smithson Valleys, the San Antonio Reagans, like
Bernie
those
Champions.
schools, exactly.
Dripping Springs.
Yes.
Those are names we always hear. Yeah.
Yeah, Dripping Springs. They're. I mean, they have players that are 6'5", 6'6", like in high school too. They are built athletes up there, up north. It's absolutely crazy. And you want to test yourself just in case you have that opportunity to get all the way up there. And so it's one of those situations where now, of course, they didn't necessarily have that much time. They were able to do it. They were able to make it with what they had. Of course, we had a couple of San Antonio schools coming down to that MISC showcase, which showed, okay, yeah, McAllen High School are going to be able to play with a couple of those squads too. So it's very interesting. You just want to build yourself up to play the best of the best, and I think that's why McAllen High, they're able to focus up and figure out, oh, okay, this is what real competition is. This is what we can do. And that loss, again, instantly humbled them. And we're like, okay, we are not the team that we used to be. Now it's time to fix that and practice 10 times as hard.
And in 6A, who's the number 1 team?
6A, that's a toss-up, but I'd go with Los Fresnos for girls, even possibly boys. But Los Fresnos girls soccer have been very impressive. They drew early on in the season against none other than McAllen High. It was a 0-0 draw. Couldn't have been any more fun because both teams had chances, and both teams were still learning their squad as well. And it's just one of those situations that it worked out for the better. I know that Los Fresnos are still trying to eye for that district title, and they don't have as many teams, so they'll probably end their district at the same time, but it's just one of those situations where not everything is set in stone there either.
And on the boys' side, who do you think's the number 1 team?
Boys' side, I've said it before, and I think I'll say it again. It's Sharyland. It's so crazy. They lost. They were 0-2 in the first part of the season, and then all of a sudden afterwards something switched instantly, and I don't know what it was, coaches getting on them or something, because now all of a sudden they have this fantastic mentality of, okay, time to win this game. We win this game. Okay, we celebrated a little bit. Stop celebrating. It's time to focus up. We have another game in store. Our record is 0-0. We need to just win this next game because they knew that getting a little bit too ahead of themselves was going to bring them problems, and sure enough, that's exactly what it seemed like happened, because 3-0 against Valley View, that's so far their marquee win. They play, I believe, Valley View this upcoming Tuesday too, which is crazy, at Valley View, or maybe it's next Friday. Point is, it's the next coming week that they get to play against them, and if they win that, and if McAllen High were to fall in one more game, then all of a sudden Sharyland would take that district, and probably, of course, they still have to play against each other. That's right. McAllen High and Sharyland still have to play against each other, which will be March 10th. So that's, of course, a marquee game. If both teams win out before then, that game would be for a district, and yeah, we'd see who would be the best team. But in my opinion, I think Sharyland proving it before at Richard Thompson, and them going over there and making a statement win against McAllen High would be big too, and that's why I think that they're the ones that are not necessarily a sleeper, but if you do sleep on them, which you shouldn't because they're Sharyland, then then they
want a state championship.
Exactly. You know, they know what it takes. The coaches still know what it takes. It's about the same side. Just after the state titles, they've had great teams, and I kid you not, we're looking at, of course, I want to look at 32 5A for boys, because the one matchup that I want to happen once again is Lopez and Sharyland. Because for some strange reason, for the past 2 years they've played against each other, it would just make sense to have a third round, or a third
chapter 3.
Chapter 3.
Yeah, part 3. Yeah.
Where can Sharyland keep it up again to eliminate Lopez and things like that. So that's of course going to be fun.
Yep. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of basketball, and then we're going to wrap things up here from Luke Faria. So that's Jacob Young, our soccer guru. We will be right back.
Graduation time to make some decisions. What's next? Can I afford to continue my education? What are my options? At Brownsville ISD Career and Technical Education, you can graduate from high school with a certificate and/or license ready to go to work, debt-free. We have a wide range of programs for every student, ranging from audiovisual, law enforcement, STEM robotics, electrical, welding, pharmacy, patient care tech, and many more to choose from. That's why Brownsville ISD is the best choice.
We are the Arlington Hawks, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Forever Memories, Antiques and Collectibles, located at 237 North Sam Houston in San Benito, is filled with vintage items, collectibles, and a selection of vinyl records that's as good as it gets. Every shelf, every aisle, and table is filled daily by a number of vendors that ensures that something here just might be the item you have to have. The vinyl record area helps bring an added atmosphere that makes for the fun trip when stepping back in time with the memories. Forever Memories, Antiques and Collectibles in San Benito.
Traigo 100 kilos de ropa, lo que se me antoja, dinero en el banco. Muchas me andan criticando, pues traigo carrazos que como le hago. Tengo aseguro del bueno, pronto y flexible y sale barato. Es mi corrido humilde, que no se te olvide que me ando ahorrando.
Ask your agent how you can start saving with Pronto. Best price in town.
Welcome back, Kevin Arrow alongside Jacob Young. You see that commercial there? Make sure you download the app Real Sports Live on your Apple device, iPhone, or your Android. I'm team iPhone, as you can see. But, you know, download the app there on your Android, on your Apple device, and then, you know, check it out on Roku or our website at realsportslive.com. And, you know, it's been the trend. It's been the go-to thing the last few months. So if you don't know, download the app, hit watch live, and then you'll see the list of channels. The Bloodhound channel, as recently the Marine Military Academy channel as well. And then you'll see RSL 1 through 7. Click on that. The game will be there. You can also check it out on the website as well. And then on demand, you click on demand, and then you can go back and watch games from the past. And it's still all a growing process as we're trying to improve that. We're getting a lot closer to improving that. But I could not go on without mentioning our showcase. Otherwise, I'll probably get smacked across the head. Right? We got this is gonna be a good deal. We have our second showcase. Real Sports Live is hosting it April 14th through the 16th. So tell a friend to tell a friend, right, that our showcase is back. So we're really excited about this. It's going to be at the Vipers Academy in Edinburgh on Saturday, the 15th, the 14th, and the 16th is going to be at the Bird Ogden Arena as we're going to have opening ceremonies. We're going to have 12 teams, 144 players, 12 games. We're going to have the RGV Racers, the RGV Rebels, the Storm, the RGV Lightning, the Barracudas, and the Tornadoes. So we're going to have day one opening ceremonies from 5 to 6. We're going to have a three-point shootout from 6:30 to 7:30 and a slam dunk contest from 7:30 to 9. So Joe and I, we put together a press release, and we're already reaching out to the coaches. So basketball coaches, you'll be getting an email from the Coaches Association for you to nominate 3 players. And in the email, it'll have the information, name, grade, position, statistics. You're going to nominate 3 players, and you'll have it by February. It's going to be on a Tuesday, Monday, the 27th. By February 27th, we're hoping to have all of the nominations in, and then from there, we will decide who will make the cut as far as or how we're going to divide these teams. So all of us together at Real Sports Live will collectively make that list. But it's going to be a great event. Last year, we had it at the Island. And, I was talking with Joe on the way up here that for being what it was and for us to be able to put it together in 2 to 3 months, I thought it was successful. Joe and I are very similar to where we're perfectionists. And we walked into the convention center and not even halfway through the first game, I'm like, okay, we can do that different. We can do that different. And Joe's like, yes, we can do this. So it was all a growing process. First time we ever put together a showcase. I think we learned a lot from last year's basketball showcase. Certainly, I learned a lot going into the softball showcase. So there's, into the baseball showcase. So there's plenty of things that we can improve on. But I think I know this is a big deal for Real Sports Live. The plus is that we're gonna have a 3-point shootout. We're gonna have the dunk contest. We're gonna have teams from the Valley, teams from the Coastal Bend, and then we're gonna have the charter schools also compete. So we're gonna see some guys that we've never even seen before, at least coverage-wise. At least we haven't. Joe was able to cover the charter schools championships a couple of weeks ago, and we're also gonna throw in the TAPS. So the TAP schools. So you're talking Harvest Christian. You're talking Brownsville St. Joe, Loretto St. Augustine, TMI, who's coached by Bruce Bowen. So, there's a lot of cool little Second Baptists who we saw last week. So we're going to form one team on the boys' side from the TAPS, one team from the charter, and then we're going to have the Valley, Coastal Bend. So it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we have here, Court 1, Court 2, we have the game times from 10 a.m. to 5:30, and if you've been in the Vipers practice facility, there's the 2 courts. So you've been there. We're gonna have the 2 courts going. So we're gonna have both courts there, and then day 3 we're gonna move it over to the big house over at the Bird Ogden Arena. So it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm excited for it. And if you're fun with it, and we're also gonna help construct the Vipers showcase as well. So a special shout out to Mario Rodriguez. Who we teamed up with. He's been a good friend of mine. I met him back when he was coaching in Rio Hondo, and he's climbed the ladder up there with the Vipers. And then, of course, Andrew Garza, who's another good friend of mine. His son was the great Ryan Garza, who played at Vela. So they opened up all these doors for us to really push this showcase right in my backyard. Not a bad thing. So, again, April 14th, 15th, and 16th, 12 teams, 144 players, 12 games. We're going to be having our basketball showcase at the Vipers Academy in Edinburgh, and then we're going to move it over to the Bird Ogden Arena. So a 3-point shootout, a dunk contest. I think it's a good deal for these kids to be a part of. So again, For the coaches, I spoke with Coach Manny Epperson from Donna, and I spoke with Coach Abel Moreno from San Benito. They're sending emails out to the coaches for them to submit 3 names, and then from there, all of us, like I said, together collectively, will dictate on who is on what team, and we'll divide the teams. So more news coming out later on our showcase. Again, this is just a draw up. We did type one out and put it out on social media. So again, April 14th, 15th, and 16th, we'll have our second showcase. Hey, shouldn't even have been bearing the lead here, but Harvest Christian, the girls just won earlier today, so they're in the state championship in taps at the 1A level. I don't care what classification you're playing in. The fact that you've made it to the Final Four the last 2 years, and now you're knocking on the door another year, and now you're in the state championship. So congratulations to Coach Jaime Gonzalez and the Lady Eagles. And Joe and I we're kind of contemplating on going up there. I'm in. I said, hey, I'm in. Let's make that. I called it a turn and burn. Let's go up to Waco and get that game covered. But yeah, special shout out to them. Last night as well, Rojondo and Edinburgh Vela both punched their ticket to the regional tournament in 3A and in 5A. So that was going on in girls basketball. Boys basketball, the playoffs just got underway with the bi-district round Monday and Tuesday. So we had plenty of teams that are advancing into the area round. And I, of course, I got my softball fix last week up in Cal Allen. So a lot of good things going on up there. I can go on all day about that. But today was a soccer show. We can talk a little bit of soccer. And we had Coach JC Ramirez on joining us as a guest. And, of course, we wanted to push this showcase April 14th through the 16th. So coaches, again, heads up that you'll be getting an email on to nominate your kids, and we'll go through with that. So Jacob, any final thoughts? You are headed to Sherryland Friday, right?
Yes, sir.
That's our Pronto Insurance game of the week. Sherryland girls, who are they taking on? What's the scoop?
Sherryland girls taking on McAllen Memorial girls. That's the scoop for you. Of course, both teams in the midst of trying to now, that basically second seed at the moment. That second spot is kind of open. If McAllen Memorial wins, they kind of seal it a little bit more, control their own destiny for that. But both teams, of course, wanting to win to keep that streak kind of going, to try and just at least make sure that they're not necessarily on the bubble, which would be that 4th seed. So both teams wanting to get that victory in order to just do exactly that. And that's going to be a fun one for sure. And we'll see how it goes. It always gets a little interesting. Last year when they were at Richard Thompson Stadium, that game went crazy. I believe the final score was like a 4-3 game, so it had 7 goals.
Wow.
So it can be an offensive battle. It can be a little bit of a defensive battle. We could see a penalty shootout in the end. So here's hoping for a great game.
Also, one more shout out to Coach Carlos Rodriguez of La Jolla. He notched career win 500 earlier this week, and their walk-off win against Laredo LBJ. Jordan Reyes, a freshman, swatted a 3-run shot to win it in the bottom half of the inning for the Lady Coyotes. And Carlos Rodriguez, career win 500. So that makes 3 active head coaches with career wins 500 or more. Elias Martinez plus 600, Richard Tressler at Edinburgh North plus 500, and now Carlos Rodriguez joining the 500 club. So that's a pretty big deal, and those guys have been doing it a long time, since softball became a sport back in the mid-'90s. So that's going to wrap up our coverage here from Luke Furia Motors in Brownsville. That's Jacob Young. Like I said, he is our go-to guy when it comes to soccer. He's excited to be out there tomorrow, or Friday, rather. It is our game of the week brought to you by Pronto Insurance, and that's the girls' game, McAllen Memorial in Sherryland at 8 o'clock. That's our game of the week. And we'll roll out. Tomorrow we have a baseball tournament just down the street here at Brownsville St. Joe. We're kind of waiting to see if we're going to be able to make that trip up to Waco. If we can, we will. If not, I'll be down at La Jolla for a softball tournament there. And then we'll just keep the train rolling. So thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll be back next week here at Luke Furia Motors. So we'll see you next time.